So President Joe Biden, this I think was very recent, Wednesday? No, something like that, very recently, signed an executive order that prohibits U.S. investment in sensitive technologies. So that means it prohibits investments in, let's see, where are the exact things that it prohibits investment in? Semiconductors, microelectronics, quantum information technologies, and certain artificial intelligence systems. Biden said in a letter to Congress, according to Reuters and Washington Free Beacon, that he was declaring a national emergency to deal with the threat of advancements by countries like China in sensitive technologies and products critical to the military, intelligence, surveillance, or cyber-enabled capabilities. Okay, I have some information to put into this, and I would really like to do a full episode on this. And guys, let me know if you want this. So there is a very interesting take on, remember when China and Russia did those joint naval drills really close to Alaska last week?
Yes.
Okay. So it is almost certain, is very likely that what they were doing was actually laying internet cable. So right now, all of China's communication, internet, actually has to go in through the United States. What is the United States known for? Surveillance. Surveillance of everything. So what's starting to happen is China is deciding, I actually don't really want all of y'all's surveillance. But the reality is that I think our drones, some parts of them were made in China. I know that we went to a very interesting movie premiere, and I think the movie was Lights Up. Man, I don't remember this movie's name. Sorry, it was a really great movie, but it basically talked about the fact that a lot of our major components for our power grid are actually made in China.
That's right.
And that there is a lot of, I mean, this isn't even contested, that they have found back doors actually from China in these systems. And so China's already in our electrical infrastructure. Quite frankly, everyone's in everybody's. But if they wanted to, they could shut down our power grid here in the United States.
Will they?
I don't think they will, because I don't think that's in their best interest. But could they? Yes, they could.
Same way we do to other countries.
Absolutely. So I'm not saying,
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Yeah, I know what you mean.
And so for Biden to come out and say it's a national emergency and insensitive technology, this is like how many decades too late?
Yeah. Are you going to take Biden's at face value?
No.
I mean, when did they say Biden didn't do squat. Biden was ordered to do, because Biden, Uncle Joe, President Biden, he's not aware of what's going on. Sad to say, because we don't make fun of people's conditions.
Absolutely.
We're all going to get old one day. So it depends on just how you take good care of your health. That's the...
Agreed.
But for him to be thinking, I'm thinking rationally about this, Biden can't do squat. American president has no power.
Right.
So basically, there are special interest group behind closed doors that managing those kind of decisions, but it requires, according to our constitution, the signature of a president on an executive order.
Yeah.
That's basically what is happening. Because mind you, if he is saying doing all this, well, why these specific sectors? Because he went ahead with the chip war, right?
Yes.
What did China end up doing? Building its
own.
So they're realizing now companies in the US are screaming bloody loud at the White House, like, what the heck are you doing? Because we're losing business.
Yeah.
And you get like Apple.
Yep.
You get
Tesla.
Yeah. They all went back to China, and it's like, hey, business as usual. Because to them, they don't want to get in crosshair.
And they also don't want to lose that market.
A big market.
That's a giant market.
That's one. Second thing has to do with the idea of even for this drone technology stuff. There is, for example, you take a DJI, which is a Chinese drone company. So they're known for doing the civilian drones, but also they could have a military applications to them. Well, if the US wanted to have access to that, they're not going to go directly to China. They're going to use a third party. In this case, based on what I know, who was the third party? India. That's why the GI turned down the sale of drones to India. India wasn't trusted with this because they were about to get it for civilian use, of course, requesting it for the military, then share the technology with
the United States.
Yeah. By the way, this is nothing new. This kind of sort arrangements are made before. I recall one time when we sold one specific technology to Israel. Guess where Israel sold it to? India.
Wow.
So that's just the norm.
Yeah.
When, for example, when the raid in Abbottabad about Al Qaeda and all that back then, and what happened to that helicopter? Where's that technology ends up?
Right.
You know, Pakistanis got a hold of it. Where did they send it? To China.
Yep.
So it's just the norm. This is happening.
It is
before.
The norm.
But the idea for Biden to say, well, I'm gonna sign an executive order to the, we're just shooting ourselves in the foot.
Right.
Because same for us. We can do without access to this market.
Absolutely. And we shouldn't. Here's the other part. We shouldn't.
Yeah.
And so I understand that the way that the military industrial complex right now works, it has to stay at war all the time to exist.
That's
because
true.
If it's not at war, then those companies, they shrink, right? What are they going to start? What are they going to start making? Are they going to start, making like doilies? Like, what are they going to make, right? If they're not making weapons
or promote peace
or peace is apparently money, right? It doesn't bring money. Peace doesn't to those specific people, the ones with very, very strong lobbies, they don't bring peace, or they don't bring money. Peace doesn't bring money.
That's true.
And so now, that's actually what I think the alien and the UFO narrative right now. Do I believe aliens are real? Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
Do I believe that's why the US government is starting to come out about them being real? No. I think that personally, my opinion is that's just my opinion, because I don't think anybody knows really what's going on. But my opinion is that is being used, number one, as a distraction, and number two, as a way to justify, because, we have a space force now, right? That sounds like a sci-fi thing, but it's not. We have a space force, and the government is starting to release UFO information or UAP information.
UAP, yeah. That's like what you just said about the abductions near Peru.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, like, come on, But people are, that's easy to distract.
It is.
The ones who do not know how to assess and evaluate the information will be swayed by, oh my gosh.
Yep.
A foreign entity is going to invade us.
Right.
Do this and do that. That's all by design, basically.
There's always got to be, to stay at war, there's always got to be a boogeyman. There's always got to be a big bad. And right now, one of the things that's being used in that way is China. But the criticism of what Biden just implemented is that it is so full of loopholes.
Oh, a lot.
That I'm not even sure how that's going to work.
Yeah, well, mind you, that even what he's saying, that with the involvement of his son with an energy company in China itself, over $20 million.
So why did he really do this?
That's why you realize it's not the president.
Right.
Mark my word on it. I used to work in Washington. President has no power.
Well, the president's not even around for very long.
No.
It has 4 years, 8 years, and then it switches to a new guy.
With new agenda.
With a new agenda.
That's just how.
With new backers.
Now
with
you see
new
why we're
primary
doing
lobbyists.
the course. Why we're gonna, because that's why we're gonna get into in the details of it. Of course, without talking about what do we call it? The black file.
Yeah.
Did you know there's black file? Anytime a president leaves the White House, the new one comes in, there is a folder on the desk of the Oval Office.
Oh wow, what is that?
That has the top tier sensitive information that the first day the new president sits, he has to look at that.
I'm curious. I'd love to know what's in that.
So anyway, that's the idea of so when you hear the hypes about we're gonna sort of create an executive order to do this and do that.
Yeah.
No, in reality, there is the other side of the story also.
Right.
And the other side of the story is that, for example, the president of the TSMC, the Taiwan chips, whatever, he is now regretting even paving the way for the US to have a plant in Arizona. First of all, it's not even taken up.
Yeah.
That's one. Second, the cost, $70 billion. Third, you don't have manpower for it.
Right.
Because that type of technology, it's not some schmuck just having a bachelor degree. That's it takes a specialized knowledge to work on that, let alone the work environment. Our labor laws are different than those in China, different than those in Taiwan, different than those in, those people work different than so the CEO now regrets even that, let alone our policymaker who threatened to bomb remember what he said?
Oh God, that was crazy.
Yeah.
So I think he was a senator. I don't remember his name, but he said that one of the ideas that was being legitimately floated around was to destroy all of the semiconductor factories in Taiwan. Like, so if they lost Taiwan, but if China fully claimed Taiwan, that
Taiwan is part of China. It's kind of,
I know, but this is their language, right? This is their language,
because that's how they maintain the narrative,
right?
For it to be. I mean, do we all know, if you look at the historical accord we had with the Chinese, the 3 communiques that we signed.
Yeah.
Once you sign something, you acknowledge it.
Well, and that's actually ultimately the biggest issue that I have in this situation.
Yeah.
Is that the US acknowledged that Taiwan was part of China until it was useful to do something else.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right. If you say something, you stick to your word. And if there's a different issue, you go and you address that issue, you raise that issue. But this is something I learned recently that I think probably other people have known for a while, but I learned it recently. Turns out there was a vote. I think it was like 140 countries voted to make food a basic human right. To have it be a fundamental basic human right, access to food. The one country that voted against it was the United States.
Ooh.
No other country in the world voted to not have food be a basic human right. It was just the United States that voted against food. I'm so sorry.
No, I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
I am livid about this.
What you mean.
What?
Yeah, there must be some specific reasons for that, except that we can't talk about them here. That's why we're gonna do this topic on Rumble.
But can you believe that?
I will. I believe it.
What? And I think that, they had their reasons, right? And they said, oh, we're not changing anything. And it's whatever. But how bad does that look to be the one singular country that voted against food being a basic human right?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, because also with food, you can control population.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we have a lot of hungry people here in the United States.
Poverty is going bad.
Poverty is very, very bad. Anyway,
I know what you mean. When you look at the issue of, look at just what's going on in Maui now. No help whatsoever from the government. So what isn't Hawaii part of the U.S.?
Hawaii is absolutely part of the U.S. and those people are very deserving of help.
Well,
they lost their homes.
Now they are calling for independence from the U.S.
Well,
they don't even want to be.
I mean, I get it after this devastation. Oh my God.
Well, also the history of what we did to their queen and how there is a dark history there about the Hawaiian.
The government has not done very well with native populations, and what it's done to them has been horrific, in my opinion.
So don't be surprised about the food.
To me, even just the optics of being the singular country to vote against food being a basic human right, to me was just, it was
it's hard
awful.
To brag because some people here in the US now thinking about, where will I get my next meal?
That's a lot of people that are thinking that.
So that's the unfortunate